All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the special council meeting for December the 8th via Zoom. Can I get a motion, please, that we have a motion to accept the agenda for the December 8th, 2020 special meeting of council be adopted as presented? Councillor Chouinard will make that motion. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carried. Can I get a motion, please? Council, acting in partnership with Yellowhead County, award the Yellowhead County Edson Recreation Facility Project Management Contract to Turnbell Construction Project Managers with a maximum cost of $750,000. Councillor Sorensen will make that motion, and I'll hand things over off to administration to talk about this process, which was quite extensive as a part of the RFP for this project.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our comments tonight will be brief. I'll just share a few thoughts and then ask if Guy has anything to add. And then we'll turn it over to you and your fellow steering committee members to share any additional thoughts you have with council. This is obviously an exciting step forward in what is just a tremendous project in our community. And we look forward to having that finalized tonight. The project management group, as determined by the steering committee, will be an important component in supporting both the town and county as we make important decisions on project delivery, design, and through construction management. It's a critical element with a project of this scope and size. Bringing on a professional firm is something that we feel is in the best interest of those who will ultimately pay for and use the facility, the residents of both the town and county. I won't go into any detail. The report is clearly there for you to see, that there was quite an extensive process that was gone through in terms of determining that Turnbull was the best fit for this project in terms of a number of professional groups that showed interest in the project. So I'll leave it at that and then turn it over to Guy if he has anything to add, and then we are obviously available for questions following that. I will note one more thing before I turn it to Guy. I think it was noted in the agenda that there may be an in-camera session. That is only going to be required should council have some very, very particular questions about some of the proprietary information that Turnbull submitted. Council has been privy to that as a private report. It's not our intent to go into that in detail, but we can, and if we do need to, go into a closed session to discuss that. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Latour.
Through the chair to council, just two really quick items. This was brought to the steering committee on December 1st for discussion, and the steering committee unanimously approved, or not approved, but is recommending that we move forward with Turnbull Construction Management as our project manager for this project. And secondly, the county today also brought this forward and passed a resolution to partner with us with Turnbull Construction Management. So I'm open to questions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Latour and Mr. Derricott. Just from the steering committee perspective, there were a number of applications received as a part of an RFP process that was quite extensive, as was mentioned. Turnbull was actually the lowest bid as well, but they have extensive background and history in building projects of this size. The main thing with this project management firm is they're there to represent the interests of both the town and the county, to look for any issues that might be with construction drawings, things of that nature. And it was noted in the steering committee discussion that project in Fort St. John, they went with a firm like this, and it ended up saving them $2 million through the course of the project. So with that, I will open the floor to any questions, unless members of the steering committee have anything they would like to add. All right, anybody have any questions about this? Any concerns? Councillor Beyer.
Thanks, Mayor. So through the chair to council and administration, after reviewing the full report, I was very impressed and disappointed maybe that other projects across Alberta haven't maybe used a firm like this. I think that the benefits that they had displayed were quite extensive, and the savings were easy to see how quickly that they would add up by using a firm like them. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Councillor Chenard, you have your hand up.
Yes, I was just checking to see if it would work. Hey, I was just curious on when we did our sewer treatment plan, will there be any responsibility, liability on their part if they make a huge error? Like they say it's going to cost this much money, but they made a big mistake. Are they insured for that or responsible for a margin of error?
So I'll hand that off to Mr. Dercott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through to Councillor Chenard. Obviously, they're fully insured and bonded as you must be to operate in this capacity and taking on projects in hundreds of millions of dollars, which is something this firm has done. Also, to keep in mind that they are being hired as an extension of the town and county to be our agent. And one of their responsibilities is to help ensure that all the way from the design architects through the construction process, that they are guiding us, giving us eyes and knowledge and information that we might not otherwise have to prevent mistakes from happening. I think on a project of this size, or really a project of any significant, magnitude, things will happen, roadblocks will happen, but we're much more confident that those can be mitigated, avoided, and dealt with having a professional firm like this on our team.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dercott. Mr. Latour, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I don't.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Councillor Wilkinson. You need to unmute.
Sorry. Okay. I'm assuming this project is much similar to Parkland Lodge and our Hinton build, and we had a meeting every 2 weeks with all the people involved. And I was just wondering, are the other two councillors who've never been on the steering committee going to get a chance to participate in some of this?
I can answer that question. Through this process this year, the committees are set up, so no, they will not. As we kept the committees the same this year. Obviously, the design and that work will be done through the technical team of both administrations and, of course, this management firm. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just sure that there should be a town councillor there at the meetings, I would assume, being that it is money being spent on our behalf.
Yeah, so part of the process is the technical services team will be connected with the steering committee. That's a part of the arrangement. So, and they will be working closely with this management firm. CEO Dercott, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, so Councillor Wilkinson, I think it's unlikely that this project deliberately looks the same as it did for Evergreens. Typically, for projects, we do not have governance people involved in the kind of week-to-week meetings and the construction meetings and those types of things. However, as the mayor mentioned there will absolutely be regular milestone reporting, both to the steering committee on a quite a regular basis, and then through the steering committee to the respective councils to ensure that appropriate oversight is there at all stages of the process. And there will be a number of decision points that come along throughout this where respective councils, I think, will be asked to give guidance on large scale parts of the project. So please be assured that council will remain connected and be an important component of it. I just don't want to set any expectations that won't be met there. That elected officials will not regularly be participating in the technical meetings and the construction supervisory meetings, as the mayor commented.
All right, thank you, Councillor Wilkinson.
Yeah, I'd just like to reply. With Parkland Lodge, yes, we were involved with the government. Quite often the government representative wasn't there. But in Hinton, it isn't a government build. It's privately built by Evergreen Foundation, just as this will be built by our two councils. And as a courtesy, the builders and architects and everything did want a representative from Evergreen Foundation because we were the money people, much the same as we will be.
Yeah, and that's what our technical admin team will be a part of that discussion. So, CO Derricott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just forgot to note earlier that Yellowhead County did review this item today at their council meeting, and they did pass this support for this today. So our partner has reviewed and supported this initiative. I just wanted to make sure council was aware of that.
All right. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Nobody? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion carried. Can I get a motion, please, that council accept the updated strategic planning session progress matrix as presented? Councillor Byer will make that motion, and I'll hand this over to CO Derricott. This was, I think, a good idea brought forward by Councillor Wilkinson to see what the update is on this progress matrix. CO Derricott.
Yeah, thank you. So the report is submitted before you for your information to take a look at. I'm very pleased to just have a moment to comment on what I think has been one of the outward expressions of a great deal of work and growth in our organization over the last number of years that council's administration has worked closely on to articulate and build around some shared strategic objectives. And this piece has become an important working piece for that to ensure that council's priorities are flowing through down to administration. I think there's been an increased comfort level both at the council table as well as at senior administration that we have a better grasp on how we should prioritize resource allocation and focus. As we know, that's always limited and we have to make those decisions. And so this has been just a really great tool. 3 and 4 years ago, 2 years ago even, we didn't have this. And so I'm very, very pleased with how this has evolved and come together. And so I don't intend, Mayor, to comment any specifically on any projects. Obviously, myself and the general managers are available for very high level questions. We're not prepared to make detailed reports necessarily on any of the particular items, but happy to have any questions or feedback of a general nature from council.
All right, Councillor Wilkinson, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know, I guess what you mean by general, because just it is a matrix with progress. And like some of the things I'm questioning are, where are we at with opening Third Avenue as a thoroughfare? Like we discussed that 2 strategic plans ago, and it just says in progress. So I guess I'd like just a bit more specifics on it, just so we know where we're going from here.
If I may, Mr. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Wilkinson. Yeah, I think that's a perfect example of, I'm certainly happy to give a high level response to that so you can get a feel for what I meant in terms of not going into the details. Should additional specific information be requested, then administration should just be advised to prepare and bring a report back to a committee meeting and specifically on this or other items that may be of interest. And so this item, the Third Avenue piece, as it was first conceived several strategic planning cycles ago, as you mentioned, Councillor Wilkinson, and has remained on the radar, has been partly was just lower priority and has moved up priority lists. And as it's been engaged, the biggest challenge has been that it's just not as simple as flipping stop signs around or adding stop signs, because there is some Alberta transportation requirements regarding vehicle stacking distances in terms of the highways. And so the last piece that we've been working on is just being in conversation with about Alberta transportation on whether or not they would even support us doing that, or what implications this may have for the highways. And so I know that dialogue has been ongoing. As you may hear about lots of these items, many of these things have unfortunately been delayed or set aside as we've dealt with a lot of pandemic related issues from March until now. There's been various periods of senior management group being all the way from completely focused on that to largely focused on that. And so we still feel good about the things we've accomplished in 2020, but there will be a number of these items where you'll hear me say, yeah, no, you're right. Not a lot has happened in 2020, but I think quite frankly that's a pretty realistic point of view on many of these items.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Anybody? Quiet group tonight. Councillor Byer.
Thanks. Through the chair to council, this was something that we brought up at the youth council level, and they've kind of had their own priorities. And we met with them last night, and they had some items that they felt were higher priority than what maybe we felt, or it was on a lower end of the scale. So it was really interesting to hear their comments and what was important to them, what they thought would be good for the community as well. We can bring that to a committee meeting as well, or a council report session.
Good, good.
CO Derricott and then Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you, Chair. Through to council in relation to Councillor Byer's comments. So administration typically plans to bring forward the SPSS matrix quarterly for review. I believe it was our intent in the first regularly scheduled review of the new year to include with that some of youth council's feedback in terms of prioritization, so that council could see and interact with that in that way. Of course, we're open to other opportunities to do that, but that is planned to ensure it comes in front of council for consideration.
All right, thank you, CO Derricott. Councillor Sorensen.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out how extremely useful this matrix has been in the last couple of years, and as well as it's going to be extremely useful as we transition to a new CEO. He can just pick up the table and keep running with it and keep us updated. It really outlines our goals and our vision. So thank you.
Thank you, CO Derricott, and it could be a she. I just want to point that out. Or non-binary. So I'm very pleased that we have this. I am a little concerned that we haven't accomplished more, but we've been dealing with a lot over the last year. I was very much a proponent of switching 3rd Avenue to free flow, but after the disaster on 50th Street, I don't know how successful we're going to be. But we'll get there. And there's a number of areas in this strategic matrix that I think are really, really good focus on where we need to go in the future, and between our general managers, our staff, and as mentioned, the incoming CAO, whoever that may be. I think this is going to be hugely helpful moving forward. All right, so if there's no other questions, this will be the last call for questions. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion carried. Questions from media and public regarding items from this council meeting. Ms. Sidorik, have you received anything?
I have not.
All right, thank you. No need to go into the closed meeting session, as we've dealt with that matter. That was more for council to have access to that report. So we will take a motion for adjournment. Councillor Chenard, all those in favor? Motion carried.
Good night.